About time one of gaming's most iconic heroes got a decent action figure. I mean, it's Link. It's the star of one of the best game series ever, the hero of time. Wait, no, that's a different Link. This is the one from Skyward Sword. Which is a good thing, too, otherwise we'd have to deal with that fairy through all... No. You stay away from me. I have a fly swatter. Get back! I don't always buy Figmas, but when I do, I prefer Nintendo Figmas. And this was probably the one I anticipated the most. I am a big Legend of Zelda fan, so getting a decent Link has always been on my wish list. So, fanboy goggles off, let's critique this thing fairly. As said, this is the most recent Link as of this video, from Skyward Sword, in all his green tunicked glory. Starting at the face, I think Figma did a great job here. The eyes are tampographed on to get the look right, and he has several tiny details done, from the subtle colors on his lips to his earrings. There's a lot of careful work here. It's backed up by a really nice sculpt as well. It captures Link's appearance dead on. The sculpting on his outfit is also nicely done. The tunic has some subtle wrinkles to it, giving it a heavier look, while the undershirt and pants have far more noticeable wrinkles, giving it a lighter, natural look. It also sets it apart from the leather detailing, solid brown touching the design here and there. There's some cleverness to them, like the shoulder strap being its own piece, but the lower ones being molded in. There's a depth of illusion going on here. Besides molded detailing, the colors on Link are fairly simple. He's never been the most visually busy character after all. Still, they got a lot of little details in, like the belt buckle and the button on his chest straps, as well as the soles of his boots being a different color. What fails me is the detailing of the chainmail, that being none. The silver peeking through the tunic is passing for the chainmail in his design, but so little of it shows, I don't think painting a crosshatch pattern on it would have been such a big deal. I think being a small detail they thought they could get away with leaving it off, but to me it just makes it all the more noticeable. Still, the look of the toy is great. Nitpicks aside, he looks like the hero I've played as since I was a kid. Now, articulation. How much action does the action figure have? From the top, the head is ball jointed at the top of the neck. Seems jointed at the bottom too, but it doesn't want to work too much. You do get hat articulation though. Words I never expected to say. The shoulders have okay articulation. There's no joint showing, so it looks natural, but it also kinda limits it as a result. Speaking of, no bicep swivels, which is a bad call on a swordsman. Elbows do have a good hinge though, and the wrists rotate and hinge as well, which is nice. The torso joint is very cleverly hidden by the straps of his sheath, making poses using it far better looking. There's a waist joint as well, and ball-jointed hips, somewhat limited by the tunic, though it's very soft material, so there's still plenty of range. The knees have a single joint, but they get a great range thanks to the dents in the back of his legs to fit his boots. Dents in one's legs does look odd, though you could pass it off as conveniently placed wrinkles in the pants. There's rotation below the knees as well. Then there's hinged ankles and toes, as well as a strange little ankle tilt. Feels weird, but it works. It's clear the articulation was designed not to expose itself too much, to make Link look as clean as possible, which they did accomplish, with the trade-off being it's a little more limited than you might be used to. Before we talk about proper accessories, let's get into extra parts, cause Link's got plenty of those. For starters, he gets a second face, which is easy to attach. You simply rip his hair out of his scalp, pry his face off his skull with your bare hands, shove the new face into the empty socket, then plug his hair back into the hole on his forehead. It's easy. I've also taken the liberty of attaching his second hairpiece, which has a more windblown look, completing his mid-attack expression. Between the two, there's a decent range of expressions and scenes you can accomplish, and I do like the extra mile on the second hairpiece. Then there's hands. Aside from default fists, Link gets well-splayed hands, calm hands, and 2 sets of holding hands, one relaxed, one pointed forward for sword poses. Why you only see one set right now, we'll discuss in a minute. In the meantime, if you've never bought a Figma, they usually come with this nice hand rack for keeping track of these extras, as well as a poly bag for any others. Oh, and Link does get others. Now we talk accessories, which of course starts with his iconic Master Sword and Hylian Shield. Though, is it really a Hylian shield before Hyrule exists? I don't know. The Master Sword itself represents the goddess sword from the game in its strongest form, with the signature winged hilt and the two-tone metallic blade, complete with a Triforce sculpted in. As for the shield, the metallic silver works well here, and it was nice to find the metal details are molded in rather than tampographed like the bird emblem. Gives the accessory a nice layer of dimension. There's a lot of thought in this part. If you prefer an old-school left-handed Link, the shield can also be mounted on his right arm. Or if you want Link completely disarmed, the shield can also stow on his back, with a little help from his sheath. Speaking of, it pegs on and off of the back and looks really nice. It's cast in gold plastic with a lot of three-dimensional details. The paintwork is really nice too, right down to the silver rivets and buckled strap. Of note, however, are the holding hands for these accessories. I try not to let the weapons leave these hands because they aren't the best designed parts. The plastic of the hands is barely soft enough to get the handles into them, and the handles themselves are pretty thin plastic. I've heard of these breaking even when someone thought they were being careful, so I try not to remove them often. The shield's handle comes apart, so that's easier. The sword, that's the hard one. But I do have to so you can see that the sheath actually works, stowing away the sword nicely without scratching anything up. I also have to use the other hands to show off Link's effect part, a slashing attack that slides over the blade of the Master Sword. It does look pretty good, and Link's joints handle the extra weight just fine. Really adds to his attack pose, and it's a great piece to pair with a display stand. Oh yeah, Figmas come with display stands instead of being sold separately. I like that a lot. It's at this point we get to my one complaint about the toy's accessories. That being, that's it. That's all Link comes with, which just seems wrong. I mean, if any character's action figure should come with a ton of accessories, it would be Link. I mean, even James Bond can't match this guy's gadget count. I don't even get a bomb? No boomerang or bow and arrow? No hookshot? Okay, it's a claw shot in Skyward Sword, but my point stands. I expected half of the box to be filled with extra weapons and gizmos. I mean, I'd have preferred one over the effect part at least. To be fair, it's an expectation that says nothing of the toy's quality. To me, it just seems like a big missed opportunity. So in the end, the toy does everything it has to in order to make a great Link action figure. It just doesn't go that extra mile. The articulation is great, but it comes up short for the sake of aesthetics. The detailing is spot on, but shortcuts a little bit here and there. The accessories are beautifully done, but I think he should have had more. In the end, the flaws are either fanboy generated in my head or minor points that happen to affect larger things. I still think the toy is all around awesome and a great representation of Link, and since it's Figma, the design turned out very clean and has a lot of bonuses. Not to mention, it's in pretty nice scale with the other Nintendo Figmas. In the end, if you want a great figure of Link, well, you really don't have many options that don't cost a fortune. But, even if you did, this is one that's hard to go wrong with. Luckily, it's getting a second release, so don't go for that aftermarket markup. Pre-order the new one, and enjoy it for what it is. At the very least, it doesn't come with any fairies.